now.
Team sporting goods.
What is it? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Are we? What's our emphasis today?
We got monster, and then in our stack we're blitzing. So we're going to work on our stunts.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, I'm Shannon Marr with Guarantee Real Estate, and I'm a realtor over at the Fig Garden Flex office, and I'm really proud and honored today to be able to speak to Coach Donnie Arax, head football coach of the Bullard Knights men's football team. And so I'm going to be talking to him a little bit about Bullard Knights football, his history, and some things which I think will be of great interest to the fans and residents of Old Fig Garden, and also Bullard fans in general. So I think that'll be great. So thanks for seeing me today.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. So Coach Arax, I just wanted you to talk a little bit about some of your team's, biggest and proudest accomplishments over the past few years, because I kind of got familiar with you guys not long after you guys. Actually, after I set up the fan page back in 2009, and when you guys won your first Valley Championship, which probably was a huge watershed event for you.
It was for the school. Well, it's been 14 years, so there's been. I've got to go back to the first year. I think the biggest thing that kind of got the program rolling was we had a big victory over Clovis High School. My first year here, which was the first time a Bullard team had defeated a Clovis team in 18 years. So
wow.
that was. That's probably the second biggest win next to the Valley Championship win, because that's the thing that got it all started.
Right.
There's been so many great things. One of the things that I'm most proud of is that our kids are going on and graduating from college in pretty high numbers. And they come back and they're part of the program when they're done, and they come back as coaches. A lot of the guys on my staff are coaches. So I think that kind of speaks about our program, strength of our program is that we've hit hard after the alumni, and we had those guys from the 80s, but what speaks even better about our program is the kids that have played under my years are coming back and they're on the sidelines, and I think that's what a successful program is all about.
Oh, that's great. That's great. They're probably serving as volunteer assistant coaches and kind of like maybe mentors to some of the younger guys and stuff?
Well, they're getting paid, but if you add it up, they're not getting paid a lot. They do it for the love of the game. So, yeah, they don't make a ton of money, but
right.
But they like coming back, and it's great having your former players coach for you, because they believe in what you're doing, and they know the program, and sometimes they remind you that you're getting older and softer. But it's great having them, stay a part of the program.
Right. Kind of keeps everybody kind of close to home, like one big family and stuff, right?
And then that 2009 victory, obviously, that was a long climb. We got there in 2005 to the championship. We lost, and it's when you think about what we've done, you got to remember, Fresno Unified Schools were not even on any kind of playing level, even playing field with the Clovis schools. And so basically what we did is we kind of replicated their program, but put our own little spin on it. We got the alumni back involved, and we coached really tough football. And we've, sometimes when you have a tough season and you start thinking about, well, we're not doing everything we need to do, you got to kind of put it in perspective. We have really had a lot of success, and then we won it in 2009, and then we went back in 2011. We lost, and then this year our expectations are pretty high. We think we can get there this year. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been very rewarding to live in the neighborhood, to grow up in the neighborhood, then continue to live there and have success, and it's made it all very worthwhile.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You've had a lot of success, which we just talked about. And for all coaches in the area, your success has been awesome. Because I know that a lot of coaches probably emulate you now at this point. Because you've gone over the hump and you've proven that you can win, especially the big games. So I was just kind of curious, maybe from a personal standpoint, what were some of your greatest influences as a player and as a young assistant coach kind of coming up through the ranks? What did you learn, and what area did you focus on specifically? Were you an offensive or defensive guy?
My specialty was offensive line, but when you're a head coach, you learn to coach most of the positions. I guess it goes back to my high school coaches. First of all, baseball coach Noakes. I played baseball for him, and he really taught you how to compete. Danny Robinson, Jerry Justice, high school football coaches that kind of taught us how to run a tough program. Then I went to Fresno City College and played under a guy named Jack Maddox, who really taught me kind of the art of offensive line. And then there's been coaches along the way. You know, Randy Blankenship, when he was at Clovis West, I spent a lot of time learning things from him. So it's interesting though, we kind of coach with a chip on our shoulder, so I'm not sure we're well liked amongst the other coaches. I think one of the things is that because we're a Fresno school, it's almost sometimes the Clovis schools, you shouldn't be doing this, and you don't really belong in our club.
Really?
So I think it's that we're not very well liked, and a lot of it is probably me. I'm you know, a pretty intense guy, but you know, I think they liked us better when we were patsies and we were getting our butts kicked. So you know, it's more important that the community likes us and that our kids walk away happy rather than the other schools. So you know, but we do have some you know, camaraderie with, you know, Justin Garza at Central and the Sanger staff with Chuck Shadan. We're very close, but yeah, those coaches going back to those early days kind of formed me, and then you just learn along the way. So thank God I played in a program at Bullard during those years where they really took what we would consider soft, fig garden type kids who are not always the toughest kids and made us tough, and I think that's what we've done here.
Yeah, there's no doubt, because everyone can see your intensity on the field. I mean, it shows, not just in wins and losses either. You know, even in tight games, you guys are still competing.
Yeah, well, we coach pretty hard. I mean, sometimes I think we've maybe gone over the top, you know, throughout the years, but we coach pretty hard around in football, and most years we're pretty tough.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. What are some of the greatest lessons you always want to teach and impress upon your teams, both during the season and of course during the off season when you don't see them as much on a daily basis?
Well, we see the thing is we do see them on the off season. Playing high school football nowadays is year round. We start in January, and I have these kids 2 hours every morning before they ever hit an academic class.
Wow.
And that goes all the way through, and then this summer we have our summer workout. So really, when you look at it, the only month they're down is December. Really? And I still see them because they're with me in the morning. So I think as I get older, the things that I'm trying to get across to them are things that have maybe no relation to football, but they, in another sense, they do. It's trying to make them responsible. You know, preaching about the importance of going to college. Those are the things that I'm trying to pass on, because I mean, we all know the numbers on how many kids actually get a chance to play college football.
Yeah.
So,
or even go to the pros.
We have one kid, Anthony McCoy's playing in the pros. We had another kid,
really?
Nick Howell, who had a brief stay. But you know, the reality is you want these kids to go on and be successful in life. And I think a few years ago when we did our all-decade team, we counted up the number of kids who had earned college degrees or were in the last year of college, and we were close to 60%, which is a pretty high number.
That is great.
So, and we've had 2 kids go to Yale.
Nice.
We have a kid right now playing at UCLA. So that, as I get older, you know, the wins and losses are very important. Obviously, the wins are important, but some of that other stuff takes on, you know, kind of a greater sense of urgency. Is getting these kids to understand. I mean, how to dress, how to talk.
Right.
Sometimes it's a losing battle, but we win more than we lose, I think.
Right. Well, I mean, if they don't get trained initially by you, then sometimes some people never really develop.
Well, the reality is, and one of the fathers pointed this out to me the other day, said, you know, the reality is you spend more time with my kid than I do.
I know.
So you have a big influence, and so, you know, I take that pretty seriously. And then I have a young kid who just turned 5, so when you have I think when you have a kid, it kind of changes your perspective on it too, and it's about more than just blocking and tackling.
Right. Well, I mean, we all know, you know, how few people actually do make in the NFL, and not only that, but you're just like one hit away from being carted off the field too.
Well, yeah, I'm not. You know, it's funny. I've said this to some of the kids, but I'm not sure I want too many of these kids to play at the next level. I mean, you got to be careful saying that, because your goal is to get your kids. You know, goal is number 1 to teach them to be good high school football players and good people, and then give them an opportunity. But you know, the reality is it's kind of brutal, college football, as we all know, and it's not where the coach knows your parents or sees your parents at Save Mart or Whole Foods. You know, they don't know your parents, and it's kind of a meat market. So, you know, we want the kids to go to the next level, but at the same time, I'm more interested on them doing other stuff.
Right. I hear you. You know, since you won the championship back in 2009, were there any particular factors that you think were responsible for your success? I mean, was it not only just your specific players' talents, but did you have any specific coaching schemes or?
Well, we had a very good coaching staff, as we do now. I think one of the things about that team, which this coming year's team has, is a group of kids that have grown up together and played together, and they're very tight-knit. And that group was not an easy team to corral. They're all very successful kids. Most of them are going to college, but they were a tough horse to break, those guys. And this team's not quite as tough in that way, but they share some of the same qualities. Very close-knit. That team that won in 2009 went undefeated as freshmen. This team went undefeated as freshmen.
Right.
So
they got used to playing together for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we live in a day and age where kids switch schools a little bit more, but I think your better teams are those kids that are playing for each other that grew up together. And so that's why I'm really looking forward to this team, because this senior class is a group of kids that hangs out together, likes each other, and when you have that, and then you mix in a few athletes like Isaiah Justice and DeJounte O'Neal, you know, those are names you're going to be hearing about this year. It makes for a really good team. Right.
Yeah, in fact, go ahead and now you've actually kind of segued into my next question too. So, what are some other featured players for this season? I mean, what does the upcoming season look like?
Well, it starts with Justice, who's our quarterback, who's not a, you know, classic quarterback in the drop-back sense. He's a great athlete. We run a spread offense.
Okay.
Great. His parents went to Bullard. I actually went to high school with his parents, which is always kind of a neat thing. And then O'Neal is the running back.
Okay.
Who's going to be a really good player. We've got a guy, a linebacker named Josh Newman, who's like a miniature Dick Butkus, 5'9", about 200 pounds. And
heavy hitter too.
Really big hitter. If he was 6 foot, he'd be recruited by everyone. A kid named Troy Murphy, who was the CMAC Defensive Lineman of the Year, or Lineman of the Year. I know I'm missing some guys, but it starts with those guys, and then pretty good mix of, one fear is we're kind of light on the lineman, heavy on the skill.
Right.
But big numbers, which sometimes is good and sometimes is bad. We have about 50 kids out there right now, but it's a team that we have really high expectations for. We'll be very disappointed if we're not in that championship game in late November.
Of course. That's, you guys have set the bar really high now, so I'm sure you expect to be there.
Yeah, and that's kind of the tough thing, because when you know, when I first got the job, they were competing in the NYL, which wasn't a great league, and they were kind of struggling, and the expectations are so much higher. So, you know, we feel a lot of pressure as a coaching staff, you know, to do well.
Right.
So I've got, you know, a really good offensive coordinator in Kyle Biggs, my defensive coordinator Joseph Ferris, who played for me. You know, I'm sure they feel a little bit of pressure, but you know, the good thing is we have a staff that works really hard, and I mean, it's kind of an interesting team because we're a little bit under the radar, because there's some hype on some other teams, but we expect to be very good this year, and that's kind of good to be under the radar, because in 2009 we were picked at the top, either 1 or 2 that whole year, so it's a lot of pressure. I mean,
big shoes to fill.
I was surprised when we went undefeated, but I thought we'd lose at least 1 during the way, but.
Does it take a little pressure off when we lose at least 1 or something?
I thought that would be the case, but once we got past Edison, I'd say, well, I guess we got to win them all, because now we're in the playoffs and we don't have a choice. But so yeah, I mean, there's not pressure in terms of the school district or your principal putting pressure. Now it's all just
self-imposed.
Self-imposed pressure, and I have this kind of weird notion that, and I think it's true. I think athletics at Bullard is really keeping the school strong. You look at what our programs are doing: baseball, softball was in the championship last year, basketball, football. I think that it's really kind of you know, helping us out. So I have this kind of weird notion that if the football program's strong, the school's going to be strong. But there's some truth to that.
Yeah, there is.
If you have strong athletics, you generally have a good school.
Right, right. Well, I mean, at the major college level, you know that most of the smaller programs, really depend on the football and basketball teams to be strong.
Right.
Because they're the revenue-producing sports.
Well, I mean, I think Notre Dame is a strong academic school, but I think a lot of that is the identity of the football program.
It is.
I'm sure they were strong, but they go back all the way to the 30s, and that football program really kind of helped the academic side.
Right.
So, yeah, we want to keep that rolling, and plus, as you get older, it's hard to lose. It really is. You don't sleep for a couple nights.
Right, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. This is an interesting question because I know you guys had a little bit of a taste, but how do you feel that some of your most successful teams, not only this year but in past years, how they would match up against, say, some of the top teams in California, across California?
Right.
Because now that you guys have won the Valley and have competed for the championship, it's not exactly a done deal, but now I'm sure that your sights are set a little higher now. So would you like to play some of these teams more often in your schedule? And do you have any long-term visions and goals here?
Well, we have played Orange Lutheran, which was a Southern Cal power. We played them 4 or 5 years ago. We played Valley Christian, which is a Northern California power. It's expensive to travel, and so we didn't do it this year. In 2009, we were the next team to get into the state game, so we were right there. Yeah, you like to measure yourself against those guys.
Right.
They have some built-in advantages, particularly the private schools in Northern and Southern California,
Right.
because of the recruiting.
Right.
But yeah, the year we played Orange Lutheran, we lost. We played pretty good, but we told our kids you'll never play a team like this again. So
Right. It's a big opportunity.
yeah, this is the best you're going to see. So hopefully, we can do something special and get a chance to get in the bowl playing game, because they added a game last year when you could play into the state. And that's how Clovis North got in. Had they had that in 2009, we would have been the team.
Right.
I think in 2008, Clovis East would have been the team to get into that. So for me, though, it's always the Valley's my goal.
Right.
The Valley Championship. So I think we match up fairly well, but like I said, the private schools, and particularly in Southern California, they're all recruited teams, so it's kind of hard to compete. They may have 8, 9 Division I type players on a team, where in the Valley you're lucky to have 1 or 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this probably concludes our interview, but you've got a whole ton of fans there. Is there anything you'd like to leave them with to encourage them for the season?
Yeah, we'll just keep playing hard, and I know there's a lot of alumni out there that pay attention.
A heck of a lot.
I love it when I get messages from people after games, or people say they've been following us, and
Your
I
phone
think
starts blowing up.
what's most important to me is the community angle, because we've played that up since I've been here. Is I'm a guy who lives in the community, and I think that's really important, and I want to kind of have that night we had after the Valley Championship. We went to the Limelight afterwards, and it was 1,000 people there. It was unbelievable. They had the fire marshal come. They would have shut the place down. But to me, that's what it's all about, is the community part, and that's what's most fun about being the Bullard football coach. And I like going to the store and running into people and those kinds of things. I went to lunch today at Whole Foods, ran into 5, 10 people. That's what it's all about, is the community angle.
Right.
And I thank you guys for doing what you're doing.
Oh, anytime. I mean, I was just telling you earlier, I said, it was amazing, not just that night or that week after you guys won the championship, but, ever since, I see Bullard alums popping out from the woodwork everywhere, from SoCal, from NoCal, also from Denver and the Midwest and stuff like that. It's amazing.
That 2009 year was funny, because it started to be a little bit of an annoyance, but each game that we went on, more and more people came. In fact, I had a friend who flew in his plane down here and brought a couple other guys, and
that's cool.
It got a little maddening towards the end when they would be, the game's over and we want to talk about the next week with the Limelight, and you have someone kind of bothering you, but it was great in another way. And so they're
just showing their love.
Yeah, they're very interested, and they support us financially and otherwise, so
Right.
we appreciate that.
Right, right. Well, thanks a lot. Once again, this is Shannon Morrow, Guarantee Real Estate, thanking Coach Donnie Arax for his time today.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you very much.
Take some pictures.